Welcome back to the show. Today I'm really excited because we have an incredible guest joining us. It's not every day I get to speak with someone who's been named Forbes 30 Under 30, delivered a TEDx talk on the hidden movement of Gen Z, and built partnerships with brands like L'Oreal, Estee Lauder, and Unilever. On top of that, I really admire the thought and leadership that he shared through the framework, The Machine of Life, his book, We Are Generation Z, and the community he's building with Quarter Life Crisis Club. Truly impressive and inspiring work. Vivek Pandit, welcome to the show. It is a privilege to have you here.
Thank you. I'm so excited. I appreciate your time. I'm excited to talk to your audience.
Yes, thank you so much. So to kick things off, can you share a little bit about your story, how you came to co-found PeduL, and what exactly your role there looks like today?
Yeah, for sure. So grew up in Texas, was playing football in Texas. That was pretty much my entire identity. If you know anything about high school football in Texas, it is a religion is what we say. But I say that because a lot of my values and principles and way of life came from football. So it's very like faith, family, football. That was our 3 F's. And it was very black and white, but in a good way. It was, work hard, be respectful, make money, be a good community member, but like be disciplined, make money, and that's the way of life, right? And then had incredible culture shock going from the most conservative county in Texas to Brown University. And that's where I got exposed to, first of all, any level of diversity, but I got exposed to like DEI as a concept and that mattering in the workplace and just the world in general, and nonprofits and community oriented people. And I really had like this identity crisis. Growing up, I was like, I want to make a bunch of money, be a good person, but make a bunch of money. Brown, and I was like, making money and like desiring money make me a bad person? So I was caught in this like weird conflict of like, what is my actual purpose in life? And then I discovered the idea of for more than profit. And that was something that my mentor, Dan Gilbert, he's the owner of the Cavs and Rocket Mortgage, he always preached for more than profit. So you can be a startup founder, you can work in the private sector, you can be a good person, help your community, and make a lot of money doing it, right? And so that changed my life. And I was like, oh my God, this is my calling. And so went back to Brown, got obsessed with the startup world and stuff, and kind of discovered by senior year I wanted to be a founder. The idea of working for someone else and not being able to see tangible results of my own actions and things like kind of turned me off. But then it was COVID, so I graduated 2020, and the job market in general was tough, but with COVID, it was impossible to find a job. I was like, if I'm going through this with an Ivy League background, and some relatively acknowledged like accolades and things like that, like I can't imagine what the normal person in our generation is going through. And so from personal experience and understanding how terrible the job market was and how not aligned with Gen Z it was, I guess you could say, there's a clear distinction between like Gen Z culture, and I'm sure we can talk about this more, and like corporate America culture, and like trying to connect those two universes that are wildly different. I was on I had the passion and pursued an idea that like I want to help people find meaningful, purposeful careers. I think deeper to my core values is just like spreading happiness and people wanting to like be excited to live life, and it starts by being excited for what you do every day. And so started PeduL. We started off as a diversity recruiting company because the main problem that we saw, at least at that time, was like employers kept saying, how do we find diverse talent like you guys? Like me and my co-founder can't find people like you. And I was like, that's funny because we exist everywhere and we just can't find you either. So we realized the recruiting world was like a big game of hide and seek, but we soon realized it was much bigger than just a diversity issue. In fact, what was cool now is that we don't sell ourselves as a diversity solution, but we are the best diversity solution that corporate America's ever seen. It just happens to be the cherry on top, not the cake. But what we really do is we brought the influencer marketing world, social media ad technology, to the talent acquisition world. So Gen Z is all over social media, learning about careers. They get marketed to through ads and influencers about different products, right? I bought products off social media ads that I didn't even know I was looking for. And we brought the same thesis to jobs. Why the heck if you find a Gen Zer, they probably scroll on their phone a couple hours a day. Not one time does a job opportunity pop up in front of their face, right? So that's what we're building. Our whole thing is you shouldn't have to look for jobs. Jobs should find you. They should target you just like everything else in the world. And they should be fun and exciting, and a career search shouldn't be intimidating. You should be overwhelmed by the amount of possibility. And we do that through creator campaigns and having content creators in this world of career talk highlight the amazing roles and opportunities in corporate America, but in a fun and engaging and authentic way. So that's effectively what we do. First people to fuse those two worlds. And my role, I work a lot with the influencer side of things. So it's cool because I get to talk to like 50-year-old people in talent acquisition and HR, but then I get to talk to like 20-year-old people that are like content creators and social media influencers and merge those two worlds. Yeah, it's a bit about my story and role currently at PeduL.
I love that so much. I can totally relate. I grew up on the other side of football, but as a cheerleader for football ever since like Pee Wee mascot all the way through high school. I stopped at college because we didn't have football; we had basketball.
Wow.
So I can totally relate on the culture and faith-based, and even being in Texas, I've visited Texas a few times, and like the culture in Texas is so different. It's so amazing. Like my husband and I say, like we're gonna retire there one day just because it's just a different way of life. And then even touching on ethnicity, what is your ethnicity?
So I'm Indian.
You're
So
Indian.
like 100% Indian, and I was the only Indian male out of 550 kids in my grade. It's crazy. And I was vegetarian, and I'm Hindu. Put that all together and put me on a football field. I was not a minority. I was an alien. They were like, "What is this thing?"
Yeah, oh my gosh, I can totally relate. I mean, I'm Puerto Rican,
Yeah.
and I grew up in South Florida, so I mean, there was a little bit more ethnicity there
Yeah.
than probably, I mean, Texas, you do have like the Hispanic culture, a lot of Mexicans there as well, but I can see, the
Yeah.
Indian side of things and being a little different. And I love how you took that as an opportunity to bring that into the recruiting space and along with Gen Z. And so now you have all of these little kind of micro niches and you're putting them all together and supporting them in a bigger way. I think that's really exciting. So tell us a little bit for those who do not know PeduL, like what
Mhm.
exactly is PeduL? How are you helping companies connect with Gen Z in a more authentic way?
The core thesis of where this came from. So I'm going to run over some stats with you because I think these are fascinating. So the hashtag career talk. Okay, so a lot of people don't even know this exists, but if you search the hashtag on social media, TikTok, Instagram, whatever, but if you search career talk, it's getting over 5 billion views a year. Hashtag corporate has 11 billion views a year. 70% of Gen Z is turning to social media for career advice. 62% of Gen Z is more likely to apply if they find a job on social than any job board. 85% of Gen Z is using social media for career exploration in general, and there's over 40 million videos under career talk, day in the life, career advice, etc. So when we talk to companies, we're like, listen, universe is a strong word, but there is a whole new universe of millions of young people learning to be the best professional versions of themselves, searching for different careers and opportunities, and none of you are spending a penny in accessing that universe. The whole irony of career talk is that you can't actually apply to any careers. You can discover them, but then I might discover what like the day in the life of a finance intern might look like, but then I have to go search all these job boards to find finance jobs. What if you could just have the link and opportunity right there, right? So we're essentially trying to prove that you can redirect the recruiting budget. So you can imagine millions, hundreds of millions, billions of dollars in headhunting, job boards, handshake. Corporate America is paying up to $250,000 for like just that job board alone, let alone all the career fairs they go to. If you take that and redirect it and inject it into the creator economy, and now instead of you going to 50 universities, but you partner with a diverse creator, now you're accessing their 500,000, 1 million, 3 million followers. That's like the entire Ivy League, HBCU, and Big Ten population combined, right? And so what we're trying to prove to them is that this is the future of recruiting. It's no longer over here where you're spending all your money in career fairs and job boards. It's over here on social media. And so our value proposition to them is A, we can have incredible targeting, right? Right now their targeting is like, if I want diversity, I'll go to HBCUs or HSIs. We're like, well, if we partner with diverse content creators, tons of people from those same schools are all following this person. I don't get excited to go to a career fair. I get excited to see content from my like favorite celebrity creator, right? And what's really cool is that with the boom of this new universe, career talk and just social media for careers, there's a brand new type of creator that occurred the past 2 to 5 years. The former head of creators at LinkedIn said there is a new type of creator. They're like B2B leaders that are talking about the future of AI, leadership, operations. You want to call it like the nerdy creators. Like it's cool to be smart and talk about like work trends. But those people, because they're new, have never really gotten brand deals. Their influence has never been like bought in a good way. In a cool, sorry, it's a negative phrase, but you know what I mean. Like
Yeah.
And I think what we're trying to show is that like partnering with this new type of creator, accessing this new universe is the fastest way to find diverse, qualified talent in the most authentic and genuine way. We see elevated employer brand sentiment. We see cheap cost per applicant, cost per hire numbers. The time to fill is traditionally like 45 to 90 days. You can imagine we've had videos go viral in 24 hours and send over hundreds, thousands of candidates. We even had Shaquille O'Neal organically reshare a job that one of our creators posted. I don't know Shaquille O'Neal. He just was like, this is cool. This is from New Jersey. That's where I grew up. I want my community to get hired at the New Jersey Devils. So people are excited to give back, and people want to help people get jobs. It's just never been democratized and never been something the creator economy's ever, experienced as a revenue generating, income stream and a place to like disseminate opportunity. So that's what we do at PeduL. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That is so inspiring. So, do you connect the influencers with the agencies?
Correct. So we'll work with heads of global talent, employer branding, talent acquisition, that type of stuff. They tell us how they want to be seen from an employer branding light and what type of talent they're trying to target. So right now there's like I'll use CPG, has a really hard time attracting men actually, and women of color. Prudential, financial services in general, they're not known to be like innovative in tech, so they're struggling to find top tech talent. So they tell us who they want to target. We pair them with the perfect content creator. Content creator essentially becomes their employer brand ambassador, and they will make videos or run campaigns on why this company is such an amazing place to work, and then share their career opportunities. And so we play that matching function. So on the outside, we look like an agency. Partnering, we serve as an agency. We're partnering content creators to corporate America and running campaigns and paying them and whatever. But the reason we are tech startup founders, the reason this is a tech company, is because everybody that's watching the video, there's a call to action that's like apply to this job or follow Prudential for more information. They are then following and applying to those jobs by creating accounts on our site. So after we redirect them externally. But my point is we capture data internally before redirecting them to another career job board site. And by doing that, we can then retarget all those people with job ads on social media and effectively build the warmest and fastest talent pipeline for companies. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
So what platforms are you leveraging right now for this matchmaking process and that you're seeing the most, the greatest opportunity?
So we can expand to more, but Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn are our biggest ones. LinkedIn because just higher intent for people looking for jobs, and LinkedIn's pushing a lot for the creators to be able to monetize and grow on LinkedIn. So we work with a lot of the top LinkedIn voices, career talkers, and then the same with Instagram and TikTok. But predominantly those, we can expand to YouTube and other places, but right now those three do pretty well.
Wow, this is so exciting. I know social media has been a huge resource for me starting my business. I started my business solely from Instagram, and I sourced, leads from there and connected with other big companies on there and just built partnerships. And it's just incredible. I mean, people think of social media, times have changed, but, the initial connotation was social media is meant to be social and you post, your college pictures on there and whatnot. But now you can use it solely for a business platform. And that's how I grew my business. Was I didn't post anything personal. Everything was strictly business. And I found, where my ideal client was hanging out, targeted them, and even through ads, like how you're saying, and influencers, there's so much opportunity there, especially across the platforms that you named, TikTok, LinkedIn, and Meta, So I love this. This is so exciting. What would you say is your biggest focus right now for PeduL? Are you guys expanding your platform? Are you trying to get bigger clients in the Fortune 500 range? Just evolving the Gen Z strategy itself? What does that look like?
Yeah, so I would say three things. The first one is we're running a lot of pilots with these large companies. So you can imagine when you walk into a Fortune 500 company, extremely bureaucratic, long sales cycles, vendor forms, and it's a concept they've never heard before in HR. Traditionally, they're not super experienced with what an influencer is and how this is going to work and things like that. And the funny thing is we get questions like, can we trust the influencer? Which is actually a totally normal question, right? But I laugh because I'm the influencer wants to know if they can trust you. These are amazing people. So we play the education game a little bit, but I would say the first thing is, so we have 100% contract renewals, so we're crushing these pilots, but we want to continue renewing for longer term deals. Forget a 6-month, year-long contract, we want 3 to 5 years, and people bought in that this is the future and a priority for the recruiting efforts. And the second thing is breaking into more companies, right? So the biggest question in the beginning was, who the heck's crazy enough to take a gamble on us and think that this is the future? And that's how we stumbled into CPG, because they are huge with influencer marketing, but from a marketing perspective. But their talent acquisition teams already understood the concept and power of it. They were like, oh my God, this for jobs makes total sense. So L'Oreal took a shot on us after that. Crushed campaigns, and it was incredible. Actually, there was a crazy stat. For our pilot, for their internship program, we drove 1,100 applicants. 97% were people of color and women.
Amazing.
Which is what they were looking for. That was our target campaign and demographic. That was incredible. I don't think that's ever been done ever, And so that's the power of, targeting. But they took a gamble on us. Then CPG kind of fell in line after that. Estee Lauder, Unilever. Now we're looking at financial services companies, so like your Prudentials, other big banks and things that have innovated their workplace culture, but haven't done a good job marketing that. And slowly, one by one, breaking into Fortune 500. But identifying our ideal customer profile was very important and tough. I think a lot of people had opinions on, well, this would help startups, this would help SMBs, this would help this type of Fortune 500 company, But really figuring out how to narrow down has been important, and we just want to dominate the niche before we really expand. So I would say those are the main focuses. And then the last one is just educating the market in general, becoming a mini thought leader on LinkedIn and making sure that talent acquisition leaders and things and people know that this whole new universe of social media and career talk exists. With companies like this, education is important and can be a major obstacle or a major breakthrough. Just positioning ourselves as people that really understand the space is very important too.
Definitely. And how are you finding these companies, so like the influencers on one side of the matchmaking and then the companies on the other side, to be able to offer them your services? Is this something that's kind of become a little bit more of word of mouth right now, or are you reaching out to them somehow? What does that process look like?
Yeah, so on the influencer side of things, we just broke into the career talk world. And honestly, there's not too many. There might be several hundred, but there's not tens of thousands, in the career talk world. They all know each other. So once we had good graces with the top of the big dogs, we kind of met everybody. So it's cool. They're like our friends. I can text them. They come to our parties. It's cool. And a lot of them are in New York. On the employer side, tons of events, lots of networking, cold DMs, personalized, cold emails. Word of mouth has been huge. And once you should have case studies and logos like L'Oreal, you can go to Estee Lauder or someone else and be like, hey, look what we did for your competitor. So that's been a game to play too. But something that we've really focused on is our superpower, me and my co-founder, is when we meet people IRL or have a conversation, right? They see that we actually care, we're genuine, we're relatively charismatic, and we just have a good attitude. It's something that we always preach. And so we try to really make it a point to meet people IRL. Even upcoming, we'll be hosting dinners. So where we're going to be bringing potential clients and current clients and influencers together and really show them that this is a movement. And so that's been the client acquisition strategy. Yeah. But I'm going to straight up with you. Sales processes is still something that we're learning to really crack. But we've broken into Fortune 5, which has been great.
Yeah, definitely. You got this moving forward. What type of employees are these employers really looking for? Are they looking more for early career professionals? Are they looking specifically for Gen Z candidates, or are they looking more for diversity? What does that look like?
Yeah, with the new with the current president and different policies, and I think budgets being changed internally and stuff, diversity is actually not a metric that's being measured as much anymore. I think there's this article literally 2 days ago. It was over 250 companies in the S&P 500 no longer measure diversity as a stat, and that's something that happens in waves all the time. There's a year where diversity is the most important thing. The next year, no one cares. That's just the reality of the situation, which is why we don't position ourselves as a diversity solution. We are the best recruiting solution because we are literally cutting out every middleman, going straight to where everybody lives on social media. When you do it equally and fairly, and you're talking to the most diverse generation ever, diversity is just a natural outcome, which is awesome. They use us because we're the best, and we also happen to deliver great diverse talent. But we're for everybody, right? That's the core thesis of mine, is everyone deserves to love what they do. And we're not focused on a certain niche or superficial layers of identity. So, but that is important. The other thing is, yes, entry-level, mid-level talent. People are fighting for the next generation of talent. Gen Z is going to be 30% of the mass consumers in a couple of years by 2030, 40% of the workforce population. They're all fighting for top talent, especially tech talent. People are scared with AI. They're like, where are all these tech people? We need them to come here. And then also, with us leveraging social media and stuff, you can imagine that there's more 20-year-olds and 40-year-olds, swiping for a couple hours a day. Really focusing on entry-level to mid-level roles, yeah.
Definitely. So with that, what major shifts are you seeing in the recruiting industry right now, especially around Gen Z?
Yeah, so the head of employer branding at Google, I think, just summed it up best in this one little phrase. She said, employer brand, which, by the way, if you don't know what that means, I didn't know what it meant until I got into this thing. Employer brand is basically like how you're seen as an employer, right? Not just as a product. So everyone knows L'Oreal for their makeup. No one knows L'Oreal is like an awesome place to work. So they have brand marketing is great. Employer brand marketing is not. Traditionally, just in companies in general. But Google said in today's day and age of fighting for top talent, your employer brand is your brand. Meaning, all of this stuff that we hear about Gen Z craves authenticity and trust in the workplace and social impact and all this stuff, if you are known just as much for that as you are for how awesome your products are, not only are you going to drive more sales because more people are just going to love you as a person and want to support your mission, you're going to have top talent wanting to work for you. And so that's the major trend that we're seeing is employer branding starting to really like get the spotlight, get a little bit more funding and resources, and looking for tools to elevate their employer brand to the level of their brand. And so we are the greatest employer branding tool. And that's one of the things that we preach is like, not only is there a trend for all Gen Z going to social media, there's a trend that Google's saying that is like, you need your employer brand to be elevated. Who's better to do it than PeduL?
Definitely. So do you handle their marketing and branding?
So we'll ask them, who do you want to be seen, who are you trying to target, and how do you want to be seen, right? And then we'll like vet them. We don't accept every client. Once we see all the great, initiatives, and maybe they have some YouTube videos, really corporate-y, shitty YouTube videos, but like it's a great initiative or whatever. We then will brief their creators, and then the creators might meet the team, but then in their own fun creator way, like make it exciting and market them that way. Yeah.
Definitely. So do you think that agencies are adapting fast enough to meet these Gen Z expectations?
Yes, but I think most agencies are extremely focused on products and sales from that perspective. I think there are few managers and agencies that are coming up to serve these B2B creators, but it's from a storytelling perspective. So for example, one of these creators had a viral video, but it was like using the MacBook and how the MacBook helped him as a first generation college student, like get through his education, like whatever. But it was still product focused, right? No one's come to these guys, no one's created an agency that's like employer brand / talent acquisition meets influencer marketing. That's not really a thing, hence why PeduL exists. So I think they're adapting to the influencer marketing world, but I don't think anyone sees the value proposition that we see that these B2B influencers offer with their influence. And I think, it's going to be a battle to see who wins that war, I guess.
Definitely. What are some metrics that PeduL focuses on? And then also, what are some metrics that you recommend for employers to focus on?
Yeah, so it's a funnel, right? So there's a top of funnel, mid funnel, and then the end of the funnel. When we talk to VCs, when we talk to employers, our strongest value proposition is top of funnel, right? I'm going to get you a ton of people, depending on how much you want. I can get you 12 candidates, I can get you 12,000. We're going to get you a ton of candidates really fast. They're accidentally, in a cool way, going to be diverse. And we're going to target a pool of above average talent, right? The career talk world. People that are literally going out of their way to learn how to become the best versions of themselves professionally. That's our value proposition, right? And like authentic employer branding and engaging content and speaking Gen Z's language. We always say we speak content. We don't read jargon-filled job descriptions.
Exactly.
And so that's our value proposition. And they obviously care about that. What's the next part is, and that we also are showing with some of the stats that we're giving them, and what they really care about is the end of the funnel, right? How many people do they get? Can they hire? And then even after that is retain, right? So retention is a huge issue in corporate America. These guys hire people and they leave in a year or two. And so that's a metric that eventually we will get to. Corporate America cares deeply about. But our thesis is if we redefine the top of funnel and make social media the new recruiting grounds and not a dozen or hundreds of siloed job boards, we then have the power to recreate the entire funnel, right? Whoever dominates top can rebuild the rest. It's a lot harder to start in the middle or the end and build up and down and things like that.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great point. What would you say is working really well now for PeduL? And what would you say is maybe something that needs to be a little bit more optimized or is a little bit more frustrating now that you have a presence in the space, but now that you want to grow and scale and spread a little bit more awareness of your mission?
This is the thing that irritates me the most, okay?
Okay.
Look, we've had a crazy journey. I've been doing this for 4 years. My friend was joking. He's like, man, you've been barely breathing for 4 years, or you've been on thin ice. I was like, dude, I haven't even been on thin ice. Like, I've been struggling to breathe. You know what I mean? Like, the startup journey is fun if you're crazy, but it's also very difficult. The only reason I continue fighting for it, though, is two major things. One, my value of like wanting people to be happy and love what they do. But two, it works. When you see a vision or an idea come to life, even at a small scale, and you measure the unit economics, you measure just, whatever, it works way better than anything corporate America has ever invested in ever to attract entry-level talent. Ever, right? Like, not many people can say they've done something for the first time ever, and it works way better than anything that exists. That's why I keep fighting for what I'm fighting for. And what irritates me is that's the thing that's going well, is that this thing actually works really well. The irritating thing is the education gap and how, like, it's funny. I used to think, like, when I was like 22, like starting the company, or 24, whatever it was, that if I build an awesome product and it works, it'll sell itself. Results do speak for themselves, but you still got to sell. And learning to sell and cracking the value proposition and educating the market and having to become a thought leader, all this for a product that already works really well, that's irritating. And it irritates me that they spend so much money, they're wasting so much money in places that it does not need to go. And there's incredible creators who are like helping thousands, millions of people find jobs that aren't getting paid, and they should get paid, In the creator world, the main problem is there's a top 1% that do really well, and then there's everyone else. There's no middle class. The middle class is still trying to be built. If we take the recruiting budget and dump it in the creator economy, there's going to be a middle class, And so when I see a lot of wasted resources and I actually have a solution that works, it just irritates me that it's not like a snap of the finger and everyone just like invests in it,
Yeah.
So yeah.
For anyone listening who kind of wants to maybe explore the influencer route, how would you recommend for them to find these influencers?
Yeah, so it's a great question. Honestly, first of all, you should look at all the people I follow and comment and reshare and all that stuff on my LinkedIn. But look up on ChatGPT, top career creators on LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok. Go follow them. They're sharing awesome stuff. I tell people that all the time when I like mentor college students and stuff. They're like trying to network and doing all the traditional stuff. Makes sense. Using AI tools, job scraping tools. I'm like, there's like 50 creators that you should be following that are sharing job opportunities all the time, and people are getting hired all the time. So I would say just look them up on ChatGPT, start following them, and curate your newsfeed around career discovery through them.
Perfect. Well, that's a great segue because I love AI, and I didn't even realize. I was looking at my LinkedIn, and I actually posted something over a year ago about ChatGPT, and I was like, oh, like this is a cool little prompt. And it was like, from a year ago to today, and where AI has gone and all of the different tools that we could utilize. What are some tools that you're currently utilizing? Because for a lot of other recruiting agencies, they may think of AI and, think it's something that's not effective, or think that there's, this negative connotation that it like does the work for you, and not looking at it like a tool. Like they think it replaces, somebody or something, some sort of action or task, versus thinking of it as a tool that they could leverage in their business. So could you speak to a little bit more about like what tools you use? Because maybe between you and I, we're like, oh yeah, just chat it, put it in chat. And people are like, wait, what does that mean?
What is that? Yeah. No, that's so true. So in our current product of like actually PeduL, we don't use much AI. We're still early. I'm really excited to see how AI innovates the matching and vetting process. I think that's where most of AI is focused in the recruiting world, is how can we assess if this candidate's a good candidate, a good fit, that's beyond this traditional ATS system, applicant tracking systems that are like outdated and not very good, right? Once there's a winner there, I would love to figure out how to like collab, or like, I don't know, someone acquires, I don't know, but partner, right? Because that's now the middle of the funnel, and I've dominated top. And so our focus isn't necessarily building that out, but more kind of seeing where AI takes shape there and then figuring it out. So like there's Harvard is a really great AI assessment tool that Paramount referred to us, and they do like a gamified assessment that gives you a match score and breaks down your character traits and your culture fit, things like that. So we're gonna see where that goes. In terms of what we use just as founders to like present and pitch and problem solve, ChatGPT has been great. I use chat a lot predominantly from a marketing perspective, but the past 6 months leaned into it from like a critical thinking perspective, like strategy and stuff, which has been really cool. Gamma, we use Gamma.ai for a lot of our decks and presentations. Some design limitations, but you're just dealing with corporate America. They like traditional stuff, so it's pretty easy to whip out some presentations there. And then some CRMs and stuff at HubSpot. Like I don't know if there's too much AI and that type of stuff, but we use those tools. But yeah, so I think those have been the main things. What we did get, a VC was like, why don't you use AI influencers? Interesting concept. But I don't like how it's coming from the idea of how can we be cost efficient versus the core value of PeduL, which is authenticity. I don't think anytime soon AI is going to completely replace the authenticity, trust, relatability, and respect that like these creators have as humans. So I'm not like too ambitious or bullish on that yet. But yeah, different ways that AI could definitely be injected in here. I'd rather be patient and see where it fits rather than force it, you know?
Yeah, I didn't even know that there were AI creators.
Oh yeah, yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
Is that AI generated?
Influencer, you can take yourself, clone yourself, your voice, throw in a script, and it's you talking.
Oh, wow.
And it looks really real. It's actually crazy. Synthesia, you should check them out. Yeah, there's a few of them, but that's a big one right now. Yeah, yeah,
That's so interesting.
yeah.
So, talking about PeduL, what are some parts of your operations, maybe if it's outreach or onboarding or even like your campaign management for prospecting, do you feel are really strong and scalable today? And if there's any other areas that you would like to take to the next level?
Yeah, so um, the candidate flow, we used to have to like email candidates, send them the app, double check if they applied. Now that's all tech, like automated, right? So like I don't gotta worry. Like someone will make a video, the candidate can see the video, create an account, and apply, and I don't have to talk to him, which is great, right? So that side is like automated. All of our influencers have unique tracking links. So they have dashboards they can go into and see the results. Oh, I got this many people to apply, this many people, whatever it is. So that's really cool. So the influencers can see their own campaign results in their own dashboard, and I can see the full campaign results. So I used to have to take everyone's, content, add up all the impressions, add up all the comments, like go through all the applications, count them, like export into a Google Sheet. So all that's done. So that's great. The one thing that's still very heavily automated is on the employer side, right? So like we still use a Google Doc to submit or a Google form, to submit like a job opportunity. Emailing them, they can't log in and see the campaign results, so we'll like put a deck together, a video together to show them. So that's still very manual and probably could be automated soon. But it's been a crazy, crazy puzzle to figure out. Lots of people talk about two-sided marketplaces. I like to say we're almost three. Call it the 3 Cs. We have corporate America, candidates, and content creators. And learning which side of the product to build for which constituent first has been like super interesting. So like most people were telling me, you got to build for the employer first, right? Like they got to be able to see the campaign results. They got to see whatever, but not really. They're actually traditional. If I send them an email with their information, they're okay. But a candidate, like immediate gratification. They need to rock and roll, right? Influencers, super busy. They don't got time to hop on 30-minute Zoom calls and talk all the time. They need to go log in and see something. Following that process and seeing, okay, what's the thing that we need to like automate first of those 3 Cs has been really interesting game to play. But I guess that's, the journey of a startup founder. I've wasted and pissed off my developers so many times by building shit that I was like, that didn't need to be built right now, It was like my fault.
Oh, I love that. So, where would you say that you see PeduL being in the next 6 to 12 months from now?
6 to 12 months. Long-term, year-long plus contracts signed with a couple clients, at least a few, and probably onboarding 2 to 3 to 5, ideally. I guess you said 6 to 12 months. Yeah, 5 plus companies. And really building this thing with about 10 clients. Because if I can build this with 10 clients and I can offer them a value proposition that's one of the most valuable things ever, human capital, right? And I can do it at healthy margins, and I can build a product catered to these 10 people, I can make good money, I can have a healthy business, we can be profitable, we can make influencers happy, I can build a product, and then I can really open the floodgates and scale, right? There's no marketing needed in the beginning. Ironically, influencer marketing is my marketing to candidates. And then I would love, my greatest goal, because I work a lot on the influencer side, I want to see a company hire an influencer, call them a content recruiter, and pay them 50 plus K for the year. If I can make that happen, I've effectively created a job. That's so cool.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And so, if you can solve one major challenge in business today, what would you say that challenge would be?
Figuring out how to get them on the phone. Our close rate's pretty high. And the only reasons we get no's is not like disinterest, it's like budget issues or whatever. I think the tariffs sucked, especially in CPG. Vendor processes are long, but once you're in, you're in. So I think just really getting a great grasp on how to best handle getting calls on the calendar and understanding exactly the timing of how and when to sell to these people would be super powerful to get to that next 5.
Definitely. And if you had some valuable insight to share with the listeners as we wrap up today, what is one thing that you want them to know or to take action on?
I guess, well, you said should they take action on? I think the answer is take action. I think we get caught in analysis paralysis, and someone like me who's a visionary, right? I'll live like 10 years in the future and forget that like no one else is there. And then I will try to figure out what the next step to do, like today is, I have no idea. Like it was so difficult for me to work all the way back to the goals for the year, the month, the week, and the day. But instead of getting so caught up in all of that, I think just learning to take that first step and saying, I used to go from problems stress me out, I don't know how to figure this out, to like, if there's a problem, there's a solution, we're gonna figure it out. Like that's just the normal mentality, you know? So I think having a figure it out attitude and embracing the idea of just do it and take action. The Nike logo is actually really crazy, powerful. I think that's my biggest 2 cents. And I think one of the greatest lessons I learned as a startup founder, especially in today's world, is everyone talks so much about automation and AI and tech and all this stuff. The best startups do everything manual first, because you will automate the wrong things too early. You will irritate your developer. You will waste time and money. You will scrap things you spent 6 months building. Elon talks about it. Steve Jobs talked about it. A lot of the greatest people will talk about it. Do it. Y Combinator, it's one of their core thesis, is like, do everything manual, make money, and then figure out how to scale it later. And I think that's been a really, really good lesson for me, is don't get so obsessed with techifying and scaling things. And how do you know what to scale and what to automate first? What takes you closer to money? I think for someone like me who's so conscious of like impacting the world in a good way, revenue wasn't necessarily my like thing that I was like following, my gold standard, but it should be. Like, what gets you the money? And then what do you need to automate to get that money again and more and faster? That's how you figure out what to automate, right? And so I think, that's been a cool learning lesson for me too.
This is such a great conversation. I thank you so much for being here and being generous with your story and your insights. Before we sign off, can you share where listeners can find you and follow you and learn more about PeduL?
Yeah, for sure. So selfishly, if you want to follow me as an individual and hear our story that way, my Instagram is my first and last name, so Vivek Pandit 108, and then just search Vivek Pandit and PeduL on LinkedIn or whatever. And just search my first and last name on any social media. I'm sure you'll find me. And then we are PeduL on Instagram, and then just PeduL, I believe, on LinkedIn. But yeah, like I'm open to DMs. I respond to people all the time. And something I should mention, like I don't know if there's younger listeners here, but do a lot of mentorship and coaching and just speaking on mindset and mentality in general. So always happy to chat and help with like career clarity, relationships, anything. Been through all of it. So yeah, it'd be great to connect with anybody.
Thank you so much. Thank you again for being here. This was a fantastic conversation, and I'm excited to share this with everybody.
I appreciate it. You had great questions. And the energy was awesome. I do a lot of podcasts, and most of them were fun, but this was like definitely gave me a boost of energy for the day. So I appreciate it.
Thank you.